Hello students, how are you? Today we read the 5th chapter from your book Moment. Okay, and the name of the chapter is The Happy Prince, written by Oscar Wilde. Clear? It is very interesting story. On the previous classes we already read about the first part of this chapter. There is a prince in this chapter. We have to read a happy prince. Okay, the name of the chapter is Happy Prince. Okay, Happy Prince is the statue. Clear? It's a statue. In this story we read a statue of a happy prince and his friend Swallow. Both are conversate to each other and they both help the poor people who lived on that city or that town. So now from here the next is the spirit at the prospect. He visited all the monuments and sat a long time on top of the church steeple. Clear? When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. Who flew back? That swallow. Okay, swallow is a word. Okay, and that swallow flew back to the happy prince. Have you any commissions for Egypt? He cried. I am just starting. Now, swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, will you stay with me one night longer? Okay, now here because happy prince is a statue, happy prince जो है वो एक statue है and he can't do anything else. वो कुछ नहीं कर सकता for the welfare of his townspeople. Clear? So that's why he मतलब कि उसने उस swallow की help के through उस swallow से help ली और उस swallow ने उसकी problems को उस public को जो उसके city में है उसकी help की. Then that swallow, but the other part of that swallow is that wanted to go to Egypt. But here that prince said to the swallow, will you stay with me one night longer? मतलब तुम एक रात और मेरे साथ रुक सकती हो? Then I am waited for in Egypt, answered the swallow. Now swallow answered, I am waited for in Egypt. Clear? Then swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, far away across the city I see a young man in a garret. Garret is a place which one is very dark place. Okay, it's like a room which one is very dark. Okay, so here it's a man on that room, that dark room. There is a man that see by that happy prince whose statue high above on the city. So he is leaning over a desk covered with papers, and in the glass by his side there is a bunch of withered violets. His hair is brown and crisp, and his lips are red as a pomegranate, and he has large and dreamy eyes. He is trying to finish a play for the director of the theatre, but he is too cold to write any more. There is no fire in the grate, and hunger has made him faint. Now here prince said to the swallow, I see a young man who is in a garret and he is leaning on the desk, means like look like that, sit with the paper and a glass by his side. There is side on his table and with a bunch of withered violets. Then his hair, the hair of that man is brown and crisp, and his lips are red as like a pomegranate, and has large and dreamy eyes, whose eyes are large and dreamy. Okay, so that man, that young man trying to finish a play, means एक नाटक, एक play वो लिख रहा है for the director of the theatre. जो theatre का director है उसके लिए वो एक play लिख रहा है, but he is too cold, बहुत ठंड है, to write any more, बहुत ज़्यादा ठंड होने के कारण he can't write to anything. देयर इज नो फायर मीन्स वहां पर कोई आग भी नहीं है इन द गैरेट एंड हंगर हैज मेड हिम फैंट मीन्स भूख जो है वो उसको बेहोश कर देगी. I will wait with you one night longer, said the swallow, who really had a good heart. He asked if he should take another ruby to the young playwright. Then that swallow said, I will wait with you means मैं एक रात और तुम्हारे साथ रुक सकती हूँ. Who really had a good heart? That person had a really good heart means that happy prince had a good heart and that he asked he should take another ruby. Okay, one ruby जो उसकी आईज में जो आईज हैं उसकी आंखें हैं हैप्पी प्रिंस की उनमें रूबी सेट किया है. तो जो रूबी है एक रूबी तो उसने उस सीमस्टर्स को दे दिया था एंड द अनदर रूबी गिवन टू दिस वन. ओके, alas means it's a very sad expression. I have no ruby now at this time I have no ruby. So okay, said the prince, my eyes are all that I have left. They are made of rare sparrows which were means sparrows here is also the very previous stone. Clear? Means जो हम नीलम कहते हैं ना, नीलम पुखराज पता नहीं क्या मानी जो हमारे मतलब कि एक प्रीसियस स्टोन्स है उनके नाम हैं. So on the same way जो नीलम है that is the in English we call sparrows. Okay, so let be here. Okay, now means alas I have no ruby now, said the prince. My eyes are all that I have left. They are made of rare sparrows which were brought out of Indian 1,000 years ago. Clear? जो thousands years ago से वो ली गई हैं. And he ordered the swallow means who? That prince ordered the swallow to pluck out one of them, to pluck out that sparrows and take it to the playwright and give that sparrows to the playwright. Clear? He will sell it to the jeweler and buy firewood and finish his play. He said, what he said? He said that young man will sell that sparrows to jeweler and buy firewood means लकड़ियाँ ले सकता है and finish his play. He said, dear prince, said the swallow, I cannot do that, and he began to weep. And then after that swallow said to the prince, I cannot do that, I can't do this, and he began to weep. Then swallow, little swallow, said the prince, do as I command you. Means then prince commanded to or ordered to you must have to do this work. So the swallow plucked out the prince's eyes and flew away to the young man's garret. It was easy enough to get in as there was a hole in the roof. Through this he darted and came into the room. The young man had his head buried in his hands, so he did not hear the flutter of the bird's wing, and when he looked up he found the beautiful spire lying on the withered violets. Okay, then after that swallow plucked out the prince's eyes, that sparrow, and threw out in the garret of the young man room. Clear? उसने वो स्पैरो लिया, वो नीलम का लिया और उस मैन के यंग मैन के रूम में फेंक दिया. ओके, और उसने दैट मैन नॉट हियर द फ्लटर ऑफ द वर्ड विंग्स, जो वर्ड विंग्स है उसको नहीं सुना ऑन द विदर्ड वायलेट, एंड देन दैट मैन फाउंड दैट स्पैरो lying on the withered violet. Clear? Then I am beginning to be appreciate, he cried. This is from some great admirer. Okay, I am beginning to be appreciate means उसका appreciate किया, उसको शाबाशी दी, and this is from some great admirer Now I can finish my play, and he looked quite happy. Now at this time that man looked very happy and he finished his play also. The next day the swallow flew down to the harbor. He sat on the mast of a large vessel and watched the sailors working. I am going to Egypt, cried the swallow, but nobody minded. And when the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. On the next day, on the same way, next day means दिन के टाइम पे वो जो swallow है वो यहाँ वहाँ घूमती है, उड़ती है. So that's why on the next day the swallow flew down on the to the harbor, and there he saw a mast of a large. Mast is a means जो बोट होती है ना, बोट उसके ऊपर एक ऐसे डंडी सी होती है, उसमें झंडा सा लगा होता है. दैट्स कॉल्ड मास्ट. ओके, सो मास्ट ऑफ ए लार्ज वेसल एंड वॉच द सेलर, में कि उसके ऊपर वो बैठ के वो सेलर्स को जो समुद्र में आते जाते हैं ना उनको देख रही है. एंड दे आर वर्किंग एंड देन गोइंग टू इजिप्ट, क्राइड द स्वेलो. स्वेलो ऐसा चिल्ला के कह रही है. एंड व्हेन द मून रोज, मतलब कि और जब चांद आता है मीन्स जब नाइट टाइम आता है, देन दैट swallow flew back to the happy prince. Okay, so I have come to bid you goodbye, he cried. Clear? Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, will you not stay with me one night longer? Then again prince said to the swallow, will you not stay with me one night? No, क्या तुम मेरे साथ एक रात और नहीं रुक सकती? Then it is winter. अब सर्दियां आ रही हैं, ठंड का मौसम. आंसर द स्वेलो. ओके, एंड द स्नो विल सून बी हियर, और कुछ टाइम के बाद यहाँ पर बर्फ गिरने शुरू हो जाएगी. क्लियर? इन इजिप्ट द सन इज वार्म ऑन द ग्रीन पाम ट्री, बट ऑन जो इजिप्ट का क्लाइमेट है वो वार्म है, एंड दैट इज गुड फॉर दैट स्वेलो सर्वाइव. Okay, and there is green palm tree, and the crocodiles lie on the mud. Means Egypt में उस टाइम पे crocodile भी मिट्टी में हैं, and look lazily about them, और वो बहुत lazy हैं. In the square blue, said the happy prince, there stands a little match girl. Okay, she has let her matches fall in the gutter, and they are all spoiled. Her father will beat her if she does not bring home some money, and she is crying. She has no shoes or some. Means here in the square below there is a happy prince. वो बता रहा है उस वैलो को कि देयर स्टैंड अ मैच गर्ल, मीन्स एक लड़की है, एंड शी हर मैचेस फॉल इन द गटर, मतलब कि किसी कीचड़ में गिर गई हैं, एंड ऑल द मैच स्टिक्स आर स्पॉइल्ड. सो हर फादर बीट टू हर बिकॉज शी डज नॉट ब्रिंग सम मनी टू द होम, एंड फॉर दैट गर्ल क्राइंग, वो रो रही है. शी हैज नो शूज, उसके पास कोई शूज भी नहीं है. ओके, नो शूज एंड नो स्टॉकिंग. क्लियर? एंड हर लिटिल हेड इज बेयर, उसका जो हेड है दैट इज बेयर. प्लक्ड आउट माई अदर आई एंड गिव इट टू हर, एंड हर फादर विल नॉट बीट हर. नाउ इन दिस टाइम हियर that swallow told to the prince told to the swallow, please pluck out my other eye and give to her the another spear to buy, because that father will not beat her. Okay, I will stay with you one night longer, said the swallow, but I cannot pluck out your eye. You would be quite blind then. Then that swallow, उस swallow ने कहा कि मैं तुम्हारे साथ रुकूंगी, लेकिन मैं तुम्हारी आँख का दूसरा जो स्पायर है वो नहीं लूंगी, बिकॉज अदरवाइज तुम अंधे हो जाओगे. swallow swallow little swallow said the prince, do as I command you, मत कि तुम वही करो जो मैं तुम्हें कमांड दे रहा हूँ. So he plucked out the prince's other eyes and darted down with it. He swooped past the matched match girl and slippers the jewel into the palm of her hand. Okay, on the same way, palm to of her hand. Then again that swallow swoop past the match girl के पास गए और उसके पास भी वो उसके हाथ में वो जो रूप नीलम है वो दे दिया. What a lovely bit of glass, cried the little girl and she ran home laughing. अब वो लड़की जो है खुशी खुशी अपने घर चली गई. Then the swallow came back to the prince. You are blind now, he said, so I will stay with you always. बोला. अब swallow फिर उसके पास आती है और प्रिंस को कहती है कि अब तुम अंधे हो चुके हो. Now you are blind and I will stay with you always. और मुझे तुम्हारे पास हमेशा रुकना पड़ेगा. No, little swallow, said the poor prince. You must go away to Egypt. No, I will stay with you always, said the swallow. And he slept at the prince's feet. And then after that swallow sleep at the prince's feet. All the next day he sat on the prince's shoulder and told him stories of what he had seen in strange lands. On the next day that swallow sat on the prince's shoulder and told him the stories what he had seen in the strange land. Dear little swallow, said the prince, you tell me of marvelous things, but more marvelous than anything is the suffering of men and women. There is no mystery so great as misery. Fly over my city, little swallow, and tell me what you see there. Okay, then after जो हैप्पी प्रिंस है उसने स्वेलो को कहा कि तुम मेरे को ये मार्वलस थिंग्स, ये स्टोरीज मत बताओ और तुम मेरी इस टाउन में, सिटी में घूमो और मुझे बताओ कि यहाँ पर और कितने दुखी लोग हैं, कितने परेशान लोग हैं. Okay, so the swallow flew over the great city and saw the rich making merry in their beautiful houses while the beggar were sitting at the gate, and he flew into dark lane and saw the white faces of the stabbing children looking out listlessly at the black street. Under the archway of a bridge, two little boys were lying in each other's arms to try and keep themselves warm. How hungry we are, they said. You must not lie here, shouted the watchman, and they wandered out into the rain. Okay, so here that swallow flew over on that city, and that swallow saw so many mercy things. That is मतलब कि वहाँ पर बहुत सारे भिखारी बैठे हैं, स्ट्रैबिंग चिल्ड्रन मतलब कि भूखे बच्चे हैं जो कि वहाँ पर दिख रहे हैं. कुछ दो बच्चे हैं जो ब्रिज के नीचे बैठे हैं, उन्हें वॉचमैन कह रहा है कि तुम यहाँ क्यों बैठ. मतलब कि स्वेलो पूरी सिटी का राउंड लगाती है और उसको हर जगह दुख ही दुख नज़र आता है. कहीं पर भूखे लोग, कहीं पर बीमार लोग, कहीं पर जो भीख मांग रहे हैं, कहीं को खाना नहीं है, कहीं के पास कपड़े नहीं हैं. तो इस तरह से वो देखती है. ओके, देन ही फ्लू बैक एंड टोल्ड द प्रिंस व्हाट ही हैड सीन. I am covered with fine gold, said the prince. You must take 2 off leaf by leaf and give it to the poor. The living always think that gold can make them happy. Okay, then after उस प्रिंस ने उस स्वेलो को कहा कि तुम मेरी बॉडी से ये जो भी फाइन गोल्ड है इसको निकालो और उन सबको दे आओ, उन सबको बांट कर आओ, क्योंकि जो गोल्ड है वो उसको सेल कर कर अपने लिए वो सामान खरीद सकते हैं और उनसे उनकी नीड्स पूरी हो सकती हैं. ओके, सो दैट्स ऑल फॉर टुडे. द नेक्स्ट वी डिस्कस ऑन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. थैंक यू वेरी मच. हैव ए नाइस डे.